Over the years, there has been a lot of unexpected moments in gaming. There has been some surprises, as it were, when it comes to the gaming industry. For example, who could remember when Sony walked out on stage and said that the PlayStation 3 was $600? Yes, back then in 2006, Sony said this. So they came on the stage and said, here what, you guys are going to pay $600 for a PlayStation 3 and you are going to work a second job even if you have to afford it. Wow, what a crazy time. Now there were other surprises in the gaming industry. For example, who could remember when Microsoft announced that they were going to acquire ABK? No one believed that Microsoft would spend close to $70 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard, but they did. I mean, there has been some crazy times in the gaming industry. But there are some things that are not, surprising. No one should be surprised that the Nintendo Switch 2 is selling crazy all over the world despite the backlash of the power of the Nintendo Switch 2 and the cost of the Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, look at these sales. The Nintendo Switch 2 is probably the fastest selling console of all time, selling 6 million units in just 7 weeks, beating back every single console in that time window. I mean, even Mario Kart is selling with an attachment rate close to 100%. Mario Kart is, thousands away from the 1-to-1 attach rate for the Switch 2. So that is not surprising. What is surprising though is that Nintendo is raising the price of the Switch 1. Yes, the Switch 1 is being raised by a couple of bucks. So look at this list here. So there are things that are surprising in the gaming industry and there are things that should not be surprising. Now, when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox, there are certain things that you should see coming from a mile away. But there are some in the industry, aka the PlayStation ponies, they are pretending to have worse vision than this guy.
Like, well, he looked like you with them crazy eyes. I told him I need help. With this child.
Every time I go out to get lunch, he right behind me. What you eating for lunch? Can you buy me something? Meet me downtown. Tell me I cannot pay his phone bill.
Him making wild faces is insane right now. What is going on, man?
Never slept with no one else at work.
She said I never slept with nobody else. His eyes lit up. What?
Yes, these ponies are plain visually impaired. You see, it's very clear what Microsoft was doing with with Game Pass, and despite there were so-called analysts and industry veterans that were naysayers of Game Pass, for example, Sean Layden.
Xbox is trying new stuff. Yes, you and I are not in agreement about the efficacy of Game Pass.
And to be clear, you think it's a non-starter. It's not profitable enough to work from a financial perspective, right?
Yeah. It doesn't math out. And people say, yeah, well, Microsoft makes money. The platform, like the casino, will always make money. The house always wins. Mm-hmm. But I see these subscription platforms only for putting games on an all-you-can-eat sort of surface. I don't think it does well for the developer.
Yes, that was Sean Layden. He used to be the head of PlayStation until Sony themselves got him out of there.
But you can't do this to me. I started this company. You know how much I sacrificed?
Yes, they got him out of there because he had an old way of thinking. We even had studios like Arcane saying, I think Game Pass is an unsustainable model that has been increasingly damaging the industry for decades. So supposedly Arcane said statements like that. We even had Colin Moriarty, PlayStation pony, who used to be in the industry. He also said he believed Game Pass is unsustainable. So there were a lot of naysayers when it comes to Game Pass. It's not making money, it's damaging the industry. But the recent update that Microsoft had with Xbox really did destroy all those narratives.
Comes to gaming, we have 500 million monthly monthly active users across platforms and devices. We are now the top publisher on both Xbox and PlayStation this quarter, with successful launches of Forza Horizon 5 and Oblivion Remastered. The Call of Duty franchise has never been stronger. 50 million people have played Black Ops 6. Total hours surpassed 2 billion.
Damn!
Minecraft saw record monthly active usage and revenue this quarter, thanks in large part to the success of the Minecraft movie. And we have nearly 40 games in development, so much more to come. We surpassed over 500 million hours of gameplay streamed via the cloud this year, and Game Pass annual revenue was nearly $5 billion for the first time.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
This is why you don't be an armchair analyst. So Sean Layden, Colin Moriarty, and all the ponies who thought that they knew what they were talking about when it comes to Game Pass, they were all wrong. And I know what they're going to say. Island Gaming, you're so stupid. Revenue is not the same as profits. Well, I would say, well, here what? Hold on to your horse here, ponies, because Game Pass is profitable. VG Fight School would have punched the numbers in.
So what I did was I went ahead and I threw in the numbers that we have today. So pretty much Satya just said this, that Game Pass revenue is almost at $5 billion. What percentage has it grown since the last official numbers leaked? After all of the calculation, apparently Game Pass has an annual growth rate of approximately 72.4%. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody that told you that Game Pass subscription growth was flatlining was simply lying to you.
I mean, shout out to VG Fight School, man. He's doing some great work there. Very analytical guy, very calculated guy. Show that guy some support, man. Go to his channel, VG Fight School. But yes, they were all wrong. Game Pass is profitable, and Game Pass benefits the gamers, most importantly, the devs, and of course, Microsoft. So everyone is benefiting because of Game Pass. Even if we don't talk about Game Pass, guys, let's talk about how the PlayStation community is trying so hard not to try to understand what is happening currently with PlayStation, with this multi-plat approach. Yes, all these talking heads in the PlayStation community, we're talking about all of them. They are trying so hard to come to terms of what PlayStation is doing. Listen.
I don't know how, as a PlayStation fan, that people like to play on PlayStation, that primarily playing PlayStation, especially for the last 5 years, you could be like, oh, I have no issue with this multi-platform approach. I have no issue with what's going on with PlayStation. It doesn't bother me. Yeah, it does bother you. As a PlayStation gamer, a core audience gamer, you're not reaping the benefits of what is going on. You know, they are taking what you are putting into PlayStation and applying it to these other platforms.
I do think that this is also part of it. This is the sales chart for the top selling games on PlayStation. These are the best selling games on PlayStation for the entirety of, let's see here, from April to June. And look at it, the top selling games on PlayStation: Forza, which is a Microsoft game; Elder Scrolls, which they confirmed Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered sold 9 million copies. Absolutely insane numbers. Truly, truly insane. You cannot give that company enough credit. Black Ops, that's an Xbox game. Doom the Dark Ages, Indiana Jones, Minecraft. The amount of this chart here that's owned by Xbox. My thing is that I believe that Sony is taking the wrong lesson for this. I think Sony is taking the lesson that if they go multi-platform, they'll instantly have this amount of success on the Xbox.
All right, so here are my thoughts on this, is that I think anything's possible.
No, you're not. Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not.
I think that's fairly clear. Helldivers coming to Xbox is something I would have never imagined, and I think I understand the strategy. If it's going to be a games as a service based strategy, as I've said when the news was announced, I think they should just do it right away. I think they have more to gain from getting a higher cumulative user base early than having the bump later of Xbox players. And I'm really curious to see how it does on Xbox.
You will see how it does on Xbox. But you know what's funny? You have been in the gaming industry for all these years and you still couldn't understand and predict that this would have happened. So this one really caught you off guard. But this is what all the talking heads in the PlayStation community is trying to do. They are trying to appease their base and tell them basically, don't worry, Sony is not going to do all of this, and Sony is not going to put more games. It's just games as a service. But that is not what the jobless thing said. The jobless thing that we would have all seen didn't just say games as a service or indie games. It says PlayStation software. That is clear, Colin. So you guys could spend it how much you want. It is what it is. And now recently we would have seen industry veteran, which is Nate the Hate. He is now predicting that more games from PlayStation would be coming on Xbox. Now this destroys everything the PlayStation community have been saying for years, that PlayStation don't need Xbox, that console sales is what really matters and all of that. Sony is saying none of it, none of what you guys said matters, because if Sony could bring games to Xbox with the so-called small installer base, it really exposes all these persons like J-Dub and the Pyro and the Red Dragon. All of them knew nothing about what they were speaking about. But yes, more games are coming to Xbox, and let me just formally say, PlayStation games, welcome to Xbox. Enjoy your stay. Come in the pool. The water is fine. So guys, let me hear what you thought about the video. Let me hear what you thought about everything that's happening in the gaming industry this week and going forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.